history.
And Biden stepped down is what we did call. And will Kamala Harris be the next candidate?
I don't know. It might be a bait and switch. We might see Michelle Obama on the ticket. I can't wait to watch all of this with some popcorn.
And where is Biden?
Good question.
There are so many people that are disconnected from their internal guidance. My mission is to change that.
I don't just talk stuff and repeat stuff. I'm living this stuff.
I'm your Carol Master and Bad Vibe Blaster. And you can thank me for covering your astro.
Leading out love. Leading out love. Leading out loud.
Welcome to LOL, Leading Out Loud, your weekly psychic shift show with my Motley crew here. We have so much going on right now, y'all. Have you seen the headlines? A lot like we have predicted. We only roll tape here, but we've been talking about it. We never saw Biden making it to the presidency. We're going to get psychic behind that this week. We're also going to talk about the new Kamala Harris option. We're going to talk about the new J.D. Vance selection from President Trump, former President Trump. And of course, we're going to be right here shooting the shift with you about all these topics and more. But first, this fucking energy. They dared me to do that, and I did it. Oh my God, y'all. We're going to talk first about our psychic surf report and get into the energy shifting going on the planet, because I think it's sort of what's stirring at the same time. We have these big events going on, but we also have a lot of astrological stuff happening. In fact, I'm calling this week, the planets are saying this is a self-love revolution going on this week. And what I mean by that is people are reaching a point where they realize that they have not really stood up for themselves and their heart enough. And this has been building. We've been clearing clouds and clearing our own spiritual shift all year. And now we're in this place where we want it and we want it now. And I think that desire, that heart's desire for a better life is going to really start to shift, I think, what goes on in the world, because it's no longer about, it's now personal is what I'm saying. It's at a point where people are no longer going to let themselves wait for the candy or not make it to the prom or not have what they want. And I think that puts a conscious pressure on the delegates, the candidates right now, and also on people in power. What are you all picking up as far as the energy? I felt that the full moon, first of all, in this last 24 hours was a doozy. I've been riding that shift the whole time. It was calling for us to let go of a certain attachment to something with power. And that was right when Biden announced he was going to step down. It was right on the full moon in Capricorn. Anyone else?
Yeah.
I mean, personally, you want to go, Chris? I'd like to
go.
You go.
I think that I like what Chris said. That's why I wanted to go, because we have the 10 of Pentacles, Hangman, and the 8 of Cups, which is like literally the establishment, kind of gaining enlightenment and then walking away from some sort of establishment in your life. And I think a lot of people are realizing that maybe like what once fulfilled them is no longer fulfilling them anymore. It's like we're looking for new structure. New forms of fulfillment as well with the 8 of Cups. So that's really all I wanted to touch on with these cards. But I think, this comes up a lot for me, and there it is right there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that's great too, because like this week I've been saying has been about like making up your own mind and not being influenced by other people's minds, and understanding your own voice, your own perspective, and really owning that, and not letting others kind of deter you into perspectives that is out of your own will and your own morale. And so, especially now with everything being so divisive and everybody, it's just so much distortion. Really trying to focus on your own perspective and own it. You don't have to seek any type of validation or confirmation to other people. Sit in your own truth, and I think that's been a huge thing for me this week, is to really find your own perspective through all the noise and distortion.
Yeah. Well, it matches with everything the angels were talking about, how what's going to be so important about this energy this week is using it to make long-term plans, which I know is hard, because when we're watching these headlines, we're going, how do you make any kind of long-term plans when you don't know what's happening? I mean, this energy has just been so chaotic, and we're going to go deeper into that in a little bit. But just to jump into the energy of the week, the angels really want to pat everybody on the back and celebrate those of you who have recently found ways to deepen a connection. Now, this could have been a connection to your inner heart, your inner self. This could have been a connection to someone in your family or some kind of other relationship in your life. But it is going to be really important that you continue to focus on that. And another big message coming through for the energy this week is to really make sure you're bringing balance to your material resources. With all these huge headlines that are going on out there, we tend to just look outside ourselves, and it can be very much a distraction from where we're spending too much time, energy, or money on something we really don't need to. Did any of you feel that with the material resources for this week?
Oh yeah.
I you bring up an interesting point about what the angels are saying, because I get the feeling the reason why we're supposed to plan our future is because we're supposed to take control of it. And by us moving forward, we take the narrative into our hands. I think that's the universal message I'm getting. You follow your heart, because you are a co-creator with creation, and it's time for you kids to wake up, because certain people have been running most of the show, mostly because we're unaware of our creative powers.
Well, exactly. And I think that people are not realizing that we're at where we're at because of our own behaviors and choices and lack of too. So, and I agree with that, Christopher, about understanding we have to take control of our future and start defining that and planning that out. And so I think this is a good time for us to do so, not be bound by, politicians and presidents and all that stuff, even though it's important that we're the ones with the final say. We're the ones encouraging it and creating the energetic spaces for this. So I agree with that, truly.
Well, the Earth is in Aquarius while the Sun's in Leo, and so that means that we are manifesting. Right, in a way, this is 6 months past your birthday at this point. Your anti-birthday, Scott. But what happens is when the Earth is in Aquarius, we are manifesting where we belong or don't belong.
Right,
you're like setting where you belong. And so people are basically opting in or out of sort of teams, and there's an absolute split happening right now, I think, on the planet energetically, as far as two sides. And I call the split the struggle bus and, Earth 3 or 5D. On a personal level, it's about following your heart instead of waiting for someone else to, please you.
Right. Or confirm it. Or confirm it, because we've been split for actually a while. I kind of feel like many people may not see this, but they'll be emerging at some point. I think actually, in the next year, I think people actually start becoming together more so. So I do feel that kind of pull. There'll be a lot of other catastrophes we'll get into at some point too, but I think we'll still be coming more closer together. I actually feel that in a positive sense with us, actually,
or at least agreeing to disagree.
Thank you.
Yeah, I agree with that too, Rec. But I also wanted to ask Rec about the energy around material resources, because is there anything in the cards about this being a huge distraction with these news headlines from our material resources?
Yeah, I think, Ace of Swords would be communication. But I also, to kind of touch on what everybody else has just said, I totally believe we're in two different worlds. And, like a lot of the distraction we're seeing is old world stuff, even the politics and all this other stuff. So we can just choose to live by new rules. I always say that there are new rules that exist. Nobody knows they exist. It's like we're all waiting for permission, but you're not going to get permission from Kamala Harris. You're going to get permission from yourself. And so, that's really where I see it. So
basically, fuck Kamala Harris. That's
exactly.
Permission from your
bathroom humor. We got to watch our mouth.
You haven't made any toilet jokes tonight. Not yet.
That's a Mayor Willie Brown joke, isn't it?
Yeah.
I knew it. Well, energetically, take your power back is sort of it. Recognizing that our heart will determine. Once you decide you're going to be aligned with your heart, things start magically opening up. I just did a week of traveling. It's very magical in the sense of the incredible things just falling into place when you're in line with your own heart and giving yourself permission. I'm not sure which one of you said that, but I think that might be what it's about. I think that might be the revolution is about, that you finally stop saying no to you.
Right. Exactly.
Right. That's and there's a domino effect at that point.
But and then what people don't realize too is, like, even when we're in this this catastrophe of the world, if you are focusing on your own spiritual evolution, you maneuver around the shit. You'll still evolve. You won't be so affected by the shit, and you'll be inspiring other people too to make their way through the shit too. And eventually, that collective energy will be in sync, and then we, of course, have more of that power. So
I love that, Scott, because the angels were talking so much about how much we need to get out and have more fun. We need to find more ways to play. We're getting so focused on the serious headlines out there. And yes, these things are important. They do affect all of us. But what you said about setting a good example, Scott, is exactly what the angels were saying. When you get out there and find joy in life's little luxuries and people see you do that, they're like, what is he or she doing? What's going on? Why is that so and like joyful for that person, and why aren't they so worried about the rest of the world? So the angels actually did have a pocket affirmation for us. If you want to put that in the comments below this video to affirm, I easily find positive solutions. So we're seeing all this, we had the title tonight that we changed, which we'll go into, about America, is it in crisis? But we're going to find positive solutions. So put that in the chat. I easily find positive solutions. What do you think about that affirmation, Scott? Yeah. I love it.
I-E-F-E-S.
I was using that today. That's a great, that actually lifts my heart. I think everything is encoded for positive solutions, and we have been sort of brainwashed into thinking that it's always easy. You have to work hard to get ahead, or you have to sacrifice if you want something in life, kid.
Right.
This is told to us very young, and the universe doesn't work that way at all, from what we all pick up, right?
Right. Well, and everything has a duality to it. It's like the yin yang, right? There's always in the positive cycle, there's a door to the dark, and in the negative cycle is a door to the light. There's always a cross connection between the two that we can choose from. So absolutely.
And the dark pushes you toward the light once you position yourself correctly. It's really an energetic positioning. So this is really it. So wrapping up this conversation.
Too hard, you want hemorrhoids.
Wrapping up this conversation. Wrapping up this conversation. Coming up next, hemorrhoids.
Hemorrhoid cream sponsored by Preparation H.
Preparation G, actually. Preparation God.
Preparation God.
Good segue. Tonight's sponsor is someone dear to my heart, and I can't lead into it myself. So I'm going to bring in the almighty God, who is sponsoring this lovely show tonight.
Thanks, Christopher. I just wanted to say that I created Earth to be a place of wonder and beauty, where everyone loves each other, and clearly, you guys are failing. That's why I recommend checking out Serious Joy's 40 Days of Self-Love and Ascension.
Thank you. Thank you. Wow. Our own Adam here did that. Great job, Adam.
Wow.
And a great representation. Just like a Viagra commercial. If you want to be riding a horse on the beach, you want to be dancing with your kids, you need serious joy. And you do need serious joy. The 40 Days of Self-Love is the most effective program we've ever had. We have more testimonials on this program than any other. In 40 days, it's timed. If you begin today and you carry a heartfelt intention for 40 days, carry that intention for 40 days, you will see the beginning of it sprout by Virgo. Prove me right. Give it a try. You can actually start for $3.99 if you're not a subscriber in the past. And you just do simply a little audio each day. And I'm giving you questions to ask your own heart each day. So you're basically interviewing your heart for 40 days. It's great. We'll talk more about it in the second sponsorship. We have so much actual dirt to talk about tonight. This is kind of what we created this show for, right, gang? Was when shift hits the fan, and I think this is the beginning, from what the planets tell me. This is the beginning of probably 18 months of high seas as far as, who's in charge, who's got the football, what's going to happen next. I think the most obvious thing to talk about is Biden stepping down, which we all called it. You can watch the old episodes over and over again. That we didn't feel Biden was going to be there. It didn't, feel as though it would unfold. And sure enough, on the full moon, which was the day I predicted personally that we'd have a shift in power, I didn't realize it would be incredibly so literal. Biden, puts out that post or whatever. Was it like a post or something? And did they say he had COVID?
It was a letter.
COVID.
Yeah.
He suddenly has COVID.
Yeah.
Yeah. All those
one who
doctors
injected that in him.
Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. So we have a lot to talk about. First of all, I mean, is there anything else to cap on Biden? Should we tap in on him? Like picking up, is he relieved?
Some people think he's dead. I don't think he's dead right now. Some people think he's like, dead. I think that he was, not wanting to drop out. So I think they, conveniently maybe have somehow gave him a shot that might have given him COVID.
You feel that really? You really feel that? You feel foul play?
I feel foul play in that because I feel like he really wanted to not drop out, and I feel like they somehow, gave him COVID. It feels planned. It's just the timing. I mean, I think you don't have to be psychic to see the timing. Just seems so oddly suspicious too. So yeah, I definitely feel foul play with that, and I feel Devin and I both said, in a couple episodes ago, we talked about this, that I always feel like the Obamas and Michelle Obama start peeking their nose through too. And the Clintons have their hand behind this too. So it's a mess behind there. So, but I think Biden right now is not dead, but I just think that they've, forced him into some sort of comatose.
You just hear the nursery music. Ding, ding, ding,
right.
Ding, ding,
right.
ding.
Right. Exactly. Ding.
That's scary. Oh my God. Well, that's what happens when you do a deal with whatever.
But they were saying too, like, they don't know if he actually signed that letter. I'm like, this dude has never really been all there anyways. You think he grabbed a legal letterhead, thing to do that? So that's not my vibe. What did the angels say, Devin, about kind of the whole
Well,
Biden?
I was asking the angels, what is the energy around this whole step down? And I felt a lot of grief around the Biden family. There's also just a lack of clarity. So they were showing me this just like fuzziness. So I was really picking up, based on the energy I was seeing, that I'm not entirely sure Biden it was aware of how this was being forced to hand here. And I really get uncomfortable, sketchy vibes about how this whole thing went down. So there's definitely a shadowy, dark energy around this whole thing. And the angels' big thing here is to make sure when you're watching these headlines and you're hearing these things, that you're taking a break and you're getting outside and you're going and walking around on grass with bare feet. You're doing things to get grounded, because we are getting some weird energy coming through these TV screens. What about you, Rex?
I actually think he doesn't think he could win now. So I feel shaken confidence in a lot of ways. In some ways, did they force him out or whatever? I don't know why this isn't focusing, but yeah, I think in some ways maybe, but I think he kind of came to the realization that he just wouldn't win and he wouldn't be able to do it. So Cherry is just moving on, and the moon, could be the lack of confidence, not feeling like he could win. There definitely could be some stuff going on behind the scenes. I don't think the whole signature thing is as big of a deal as people make it out to be. People have signed my signature all over the place. So, I don't really see that as a big, conspiracy, that part of it.
Well, it's just hard that not hearing anything from him for almost a week now. I mean, I understand with him being sick, but there's a lot of conspiracy theories going around about why haven't we even seen
embarrassment. I think he's embarrassed. I really think he's embarrassed.
Yeah, that's why I think I was just feeling the grief too. There's a lot of grief around stepping down from this, really wanting to hold out to the last minute and having to ultimately step down is definitely, the energy. It's very foggy.
But I think also, Christopher, too, I wanted to see if you concur, too. I still feel like he's still not there either. I feel like he's in a comatose state, too, right now. I still feel like. So what do you think, Christopher? You feel that psychically?
I have felt him manipulated by something from the beginning. But there was, they said that, JFK was, getting a shot in the morning and a shot at night. This is common to kind of prop up politicians. So I couldn't psychically feel like, I psychically feel like I definitely feel he's been propped up for speeches and stuff.
Yes.
And I would imagine they can put him down too. You know what I mean? If you can go up, you can go down, says Elvis.
Exactly.
So that's what it feels like. But it doesn't matter. Step over. What I do feel is that I do feel I feel like there's a Game of Thrones going on. I feel a Game of Thrones. I feel a Game of Thrones between the Clintons and the Obamas. That's what it feels like to me. I feel like and I even feel right now, I mean, I'm just listening because I can channel better when I'm with you guys. It's it feels like the Clintons have Kamala, not the Obamas.
Oh, totally.
And
I think she flipped families. She flipped
Yeah. Didn't the Clintons already endorse Kamala Harris too?
Yes, isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
And the Obamas haven't yet. And
We fully endorse Kamala.
the Obamas are calling for a true Democratic convention. That's what the latest I heard.
That means that tells me they lost power.
They did.
Well, or they feel like they can bring something in, like what Scott and I were getting. Is this a bait and switch? Is this an opportunity to bring Michelle Obama in?
Exactly.
I mean, she had that really successful 2019 book campaign. People loved her. That was like, Christopher, you mentioned in several months ago about like a simulation coming through with this energy too, with this full moon. We have Sun opposed Pluto tonight too, which I want to hear from you about. I mean, it's almost like there's like a simulation energy going on with Kamala Harris. And it's like, I don't know, would this work to bring Michelle Obama in? What are you guys picking up with that?
Yeah, I definitely feel that. I mean, if you look at, to me, you can look at the laughs between Kamala and Hillary. It's like the same, devil laugh. So there's some influence definitely going on there. But I always felt like for some reason that, Michelle would start peeking through, with her opinion. And so, so I definitely, I feel that brewing right now. I'm surprised it hasn't been coming out. Just they're waiting for that moment. I really feel like, it's still a mess to me though. And, so I think they're scrambling, of course. I think that's obvious. But yeah, I really feel like the Clintons have been behind, the Kamala, foundation, and everything that's been happening, the course of the Biden, campaign has been through the eyes of the Clintons in a sense.
Well, looking at Kamala, her astrology, first of all, I don't trust her. And I say that because she really is in some ways a warrior. She's born on a full moon at 27 degrees Aries. I think this one would eat you if she had to, to survive. Like she comes from and right now, but I would say the planets are in her favor, because Uranus is basically on her Jupiter, and Chiron is coming up to her moon. And long story short, Saturn's about to go into her house of influence, the 10th house. So what that means is that this is going to bring success to her regardless, because she's going to milk this in her industry context after this. So for her, I think it's a win-win. Psychically, she's going to work the relationships as she can. Having her in this position, at least for one moment, will serve her. But I psychically feel, she's all about backroom deals. All about backroom. She's a Libra. She's a 27-degree Libra with an Aries moon. That's a Libra with a man's appetite. She's got a lot of masculine energy in her, and Jupiter is lighting up her first house because she got a Gemini rising, which is her maniacal laugh. You know what I mean? Like,
exactly.
Kind of thing. So I personally don't feel this energy is good for the country. Given the last point I'll make is the South Node is in Libra. So that means that she has to make some sort of a character change. But then one could argue preparing to be president is a character change.
Right.
So like most Libras, this could go both ways. What do you pick up with Kamala? Chris?
I feel like this is a waste of time and going nowhere really with her. Okay. So, Knight of Pentacles is a total waste of time, and Eight of Cups is walking away. So, I think that there might be some sort of blitz, like they were talking about a blitz, convention or whatever. And so I think it's more likely that they're going to put up. Yeah. And I just asked for confirmation for a wand. So I totally think there's going to be more of a, more choices that they put up.
Right.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a mess, the whole thing.
It's a mess now.
I just want to put that out there.
It's a mess
even
now.
after this.
Yeah, I do think though, Michelle Obama would be for the party, would be a good thing to rile people up in a different way. So I think it would benefit them if they utilized Michelle Obama. Now, it's been being rude when I called Michelle Michael. I'm just doing what Obama did. Obama called, in a speech called, Michelle Michael, but accidentally. So I was just making a joke about that.
That is a joke.
Yeah,
he did that. She's coming after you, and the CIA is at your door right now. We'll answer it.
Well, I'm gay.
Rip Scott.
I personally feel she's depressed. I pick up depression in her. I feel like she's too depressed to run. I don't feel like she has that spirit in her.
I don't think she'll run. I think she'll peek her nose. Like I guess I always said, she'll peek her face in and try to be an influence. What I feel like I think they'll use her as a way, but I don't know if she'll necessarily run. I just feel like she'll be thrown out there as a kind of a prop. Is what I always felt.
Right.
100%, especially next to Kamala. 100%. You bring her out in that campaign, and I think she has that in her. I feel that she has it in her. Whether
right.
Another quick. Let's flip sides. I mean, we had a lot of President Trump talk last week about the assassination attempt. So both presidents have been killed. Or almost tried to be killed. And this week he's announced over the convention. First, I want your feel on his energy. What are you picking up on energetically with him? And I'll answer myself last. What do the angels say about how he's feeling, Devin?
He's definitely feeling a deeper, more divine connection, more in divine flow, more in trust with the work he's doing. But he's also much more alert to the risks that are out there. I was getting this sense from the angels that he was feeling pretty invincible prior to that. Yes, he was in there trying to fight, but at the same time, he was feeling like nothing could take him down. And now this time, this was like a real eye opener for him and everyone around him. And also the realization that even with all the support and even with all the things that he might have gained through this time, there's such an easy flip of the switch. And he definitely feels like he even considers himself on a new timeline than he would have ever seen himself before. What about you, Chris Reck?
Yeah, I think he's like healing, obviously, 3 of Swords. And literally could be healing. And King of Wands would be like bold, confident, assertive, just kind of like being in and it is a very like kingly energy. I feel like he still feels like he has to fight as well with the 5 of Wands. 5 of Wands, conflict, competition. But it could say that, he feels like he has to fight now or, protect himself or do whatever. But overall, confident. Scott?
Yeah, well, I'm Scott Reck because I got the chariot
Scott
card.
Reck, right?
Yeah, Scott Reck, I got the chariot card. I'm doing tarot now. I feel that I just like shit got real for him. I feel like he was anticipating that this would happen for him. So, but it kind of reminded him that there is destiny in a sense, right? And so I feel like he feels calm and peaceful in that regard. But I feel like he's still with the chariot card for me, saying he's still willing to move forward and get the job done in that sense. There is a different tone to his energy too. I feel like, kind of maybe taking a step back and not being so aggressive, which might help a lot of the left kind of maybe see a different side. And I think it's helped the people see how extreme this has really been. And I think it's helped people to understand how we shouldn't be so negative, how this isn't worth, taking life over. And so I think somehow unifying people to understand that we shouldn't go this far. It's gotten this dark. We need to start turning things around. So not just what Trump is feeling about it, I think that the world is feeling slightly different about it. Depending on, or it doesn't matter which side you're on, we're all kind of feeling that energy. And so I think that might be something that brings us together in time too, is seeing that it's getting too dark, it's getting too heavy.
I think we survived a heavy bullet there. I think the country dodged a bullet because the chaos that would have ensued, no one would have loved it. I'll say is astrologically, he's in a Jupiter year. Jupiter's in his sign, and I felt right away that was a sort of a magic shield anyways. If anyone has Jupiter in your sign, all the Geminis right now have incredible luck, so, and that's what we saw with that turn was incredible luck. It's that sort of moment. Everyone out there who's a Gemini should know that. Don't go in front of a bullet, but also don't worry about your back. God's got you. And his astrology shows that he's going to do nothing but take off. I predict a reborn image of him energetically in about a month when the sun comes out of his 12th house. He's doing a lot of processing right now. But it's interesting in that sense. Now, he did choose J.D. Vance as his vice president candidate. I found a lot of people stirred by this. Interestingly enough, J.D. Vance is a 10-degree Leo with a Leo rising, which means he literally doubles Trump's energy. He literally doubles Trump's energy. So he just pulled a wild card. Trump pulled a Trump card, which is an energy that vibrates energetically like he does. And here's the thing. J.D. Vance has Jupiter going into his 10th house because him and Trump have the same rising, Leo risings. So they both have fortune coming to their 10th house. So regardless, again, and I think the way, whatever happens, this will turn into fortune for the candidates working for corporations, whatever. Right. What do you all pick up on J.D. Vance?
I think he's an opportunist.
He's
I
Leo.
think he's
That's called a
there
Leo.
you go. Or there you go. I think he's an opportunist. I think that he's just saying whatever it is to boost his career in a sense. I don't particularly think he's fond of Trump, so I just think he's tolerating Trump. And so I'm kind of, I'm concerned actually of the influence he might have on Trump too, because I feel like that Trump does feel like an equal energy with him. So I think that, Vance might be a negative influence actually on Trump in a sense. So that kind of concerns me, personally, but But again, I feel like he's more of an opportunist. I think he'll do whatever he needs to do to enhance his career. So there's a little bit of that lack of sincerity that I find through him that could be potential problematic.
Well, we haven't had this much Leo energy since Barack Obama. Or Barack was this high vibe of Leo, this much Leo,
right?
Which is a love me, just pulling people in, and they, people, pull in. It's Trump's Leo rising that makes him lovable to those who love him. I believe as a Leo rising. That's what I think it is. What do the angels say about JD Vance? What's his background in heaven?
Well, the angels always want us to remember to take a step back with all of these people we are seeing on the screen here. Everybody has to make a trade-off with these types of situations is what they're saying. So it's not necessarily a judgment or a point or saying it's a good thing or a bad thing, but always remember there is a trade-off to living this life, to going for these goals. So remember, everybody has things in their past that may not be something they want to see come forward. And also they have things that have been orchestrated. So I keep being shown in orchestra as well. So there has been this plan all along for him to eventually end up in the public light. And a lot of what you're going to see come forward has been orchestrated for many years, but this goes on both sides. The angels are saying this for Kamala Harris, for anybody who might be on the Democratic ticket too. So this is, again, the angels taking that 30,000 foot perspective and remembering that when you have to put this much energy to get onto the stage, you are making choices. You are always saying, I choose this over that. It's not a right or wrong thing every time, but you're going to see some things come to the forefront with all of these candidates that you're going to go, you know what? I'm not really sure I would have made that choice. So again, it's that reminder to really look at somebody from that human perspective before you're making judgment, especially with those around you who might be choosing a different candidate from you. And when you see these people yelling at each other on screen, which we're going to see a lot of that, they're saying, especially as this new stuff coming up with the when the Democrats have their convention, you're going to want to really remove yourself from that energy. What are you getting, Chris Reck?
Yeah, I feel like he's like a money man or something is the words I'm getting on the King of Pentacles here. And he has the Page of Wands and the Sun. So, this could be like an attention thing, or he sees it as a stepping stone for sure. I don't even know that, if they win in the first place, if he would want to, my original feeling of this whole situation was that he would be run for president in the future. It's like, but I see that as a means to an end, of something having to do with money for whatever reason. That's what I'm getting off of these cards. So, I don't think does he really actually want to be a vice president, or is it like, oh, I can get another, write a book out of this, or can I get something else out of it that will lead to the Leo attention, right? With the sun.
Does anyone want to be vice president?
No.
Right.
I'm sure he's in it for the money. He's like maybe a pole dancer for Trump in the background. He's getting those dollars in the White House at night. Psychically, I think he's also very, very spiritual. Honestly, just, again, I don't know the man. I have no political opinions on him. Just disclaimer. I know nothing about him, but his chart says he really is close to spirit. So we would be watched over, I think, if he listens to his prayer, with the energy, but he's got a son that's 12th house.
Spiritual religious, big difference. Cause he could be religious and that could be the spiritual take right now. You know what I'm
saying?
think
a lot, you can be the people who've gone a little radical with religion, their heart's in it for God. Sure. They just joined the wrong cult. They just joined the wrong cult. Yeah. And I think that's where, we sometimes get a bad rep or whatever. It's like, I'm sorry, no one owns a patent on God. No church, no one else. You know what I mean? Sorry, I have access. It's equal opportunity spirituality. Right. That's how the universe works.
Exactly.
They may tell you otherwise, but that's just a sales pitch, right? Mm-hmm. My point is maybe he's going too far, but this chart shows he's been praying to God lifetime after lifetime. You don't get this high up in the spiritual awareness. And, he's got Neptune at 29 degrees. So he feels like he's on a mission. And he will certainly make money for the mission, kind of thing.
Right.
But it's interesting. I wouldn't
doesn't mean he's at fault either. Doesn't mean he's not at fault either. You know what I'm saying? So there's still that side of human that could also get in the way too. Right.
Of course. But I don't feel he's taking calls from the Pope either. You know what I mean?
Right.
Well, and I feel a naive energy too with him. A little bit like, maybe there hasn't been enough experience with the powers that be in politics that could take his Leo energy for a ride a little bit, because I mean, Leos want to be so loving and they want to show their heart to the world. And then that makes them so vulnerable when some of these more, not the greatest influence energies. Like, I mean, we all need money to survive. So I'm not going to go down the tangent like we're all in it for money. I mean, everybody wants to put food on the table for their family and all that. Money is a huge part of everything we all do. It's a huge part of politics, a huge part of what we saw going on from what the angels are saying. But at the same time, it's all energy. And if it translates in his heart of being on stage and really shining, he could be really vulnerable to some of the, more negative powers out there coming in and going, hey, we got you on stage. Now you got to come over here and do something for us. So that's what worries me, is the naive energy there.
Well, let's move on to another interesting topic, y'all, which is the Secret Service scandal. I don't know if you guys know more about it, but I'm looking for my script here. Where's my script? I feel like God right now, a little lost in all the things. But apparently, I had scrolled down. That's the problem. Basically, the Secret Service had flagged gunman Thomas Matthew Crooks as suspicious ahead of the Trump assassination, a possible threat more than an hour before the Saturday shooting, and that Trump was still allowed on stage, even though there was this understanding of a suspicious character, not to mention everything we said before last week, and I guess this is energetically, I mean, we'll just tap in. It's been a week or whatever. Any further follow-up on your feelings about that particular, are they all disappointed that they didn't get the shot?
I mean, yeah, I think they're rather surprised about this, right? So like I said, the last time, half knew, half didn't know. So I definitely think that, it feels like there was a stage aspect of it too on that end of like to plan for this. I think that this Crooks guy was influenced in a different way, controlled in a different way. We can use our speculations on how. I believe it could be through many people who are on antidepressants or psychological drugs can easily be altered and manipulated in a sense to do something like an assassination attempt or homicidal things. And this is, I did a talk about MK Ultra, how they used to utilize certain drugs to get people to do things they wouldn't necessarily do. So I feel like this is a person that kind of was influenced this way. And these people are always utilized as scapegoats too for another mission. So I feel like I said half the service I think knew, which is why it was allowed to happen, and half didn't know. And so it just feels very sketch to me. So, but again, I said this the last week that I don't believe that Trump is surprised. I think that a lot of people saw at some point this would be coming. And I just want to say this too, because we can analyze all these different things to our face turn blue and strategize, and these things are really happening. But there's always been to me people above government who are really pulling the strings. And I think that if we look at the broader awareness of objective awareness of what's really happening, I would say that we're kind of being played with this two-party paradigm system, and that we need to look beyond and also understand why are we experiencing these things in our spiritual, lives, and the reflections of how we actually are evolving and not evolving. So we can't be so hell-bent on the structure of politics like this is some ingrained in stone events in our lives. It reflects us how we need to grow individually and collectively. But I do feel like there are those above government who are dictating and pulling the strings, and somewhat we're all being kind of played in a sense. And so I want us to use our intuition and our discernment to look beyond, because there's so many more important things in our lives right now than social issues that could potentially be affecting our planet, like AI. How far are they taking AI? We need to worry about this. I was cloned many times. Christopher's been cloned too. And I started thinking to myself, what if this AI starts buying out all my other domain names, right? And then creates fake videos of me, pretend like they're me. And so how far can this go? That's a threat. No one's talking about this, right. And so that made me go and buy all my domain names today, available. So I think that a lot of this political theater is also a distraction for the true essences of what we need to be focusing on when it comes to our world. So I just want to, drop that in there while we're talking about all the, the physical.
That was great. That deserves an applause, man. Why don't you run?
Was that a soapbox? I mean,
Yeah, for president. Well, okay.
Gays for
I guess
president.
the real question here, really, and I want to get to, and the only reason we're talking about it is because I feel like we are coming into our own power. Let's go back to the beginning of the show. This is about what your heart wants out of the world and whatever. I think we're seeing the last stage of all sorts of people who have been vying for power. And I think psychically, what I feel, and I want to affirm here, is I don't feel like there's anyone really running the show at this point. Like, I feel like there are competing factions of power
Yeah.
And I feel at this moment, it really is up for grabs. I don't feel anyone knows. I don't feel, and I don't feel like we've been in that place for a very long time. I don't feel like we've had, let's say completely free in a conscious way, political system in ages. And I feel this is the first time that really is, spin the wheel.
Yeah.
Right.
It's pressure
Yeah.
time.
I was definitely, I know a lot of the spin out there with the Secret Service agent thing in the interview today with the head of the Secret Service. When I was scanning her energy, I was picking up on just this huge stonewalling energy that is supported by some kind of secret factor there. So while I don't think there's anyone particularly in control, I definitely get that, Christopher. Like, this is new, that there's not somebody who has more power over the other. There is somebody behind her energy that is supporting her and stonewalling answering these questions. So yeah, you're going to see this be like, oh, is incompetency, or is this conspiracy, or is all these things. I still get what we got last week, Scott, that like, we're never going to really know the truth with why all those holes were in the way that those bullets reached the stage the way they did. And again, scanning the head of the Secret Service's energy was just scanning her aura. It was just like, Stonewall, I've got a wall behind me. So, people are going to call her all the names they want to, but there's something else behind that was prepping her for this onslaught of questions about these holes there. So what about you, Chris Rick?
Yeah, I think there's definitely, more behind the curtain with the high priestess mysteries. I think the government is really good at, kind of like catching the ball and, guiding the ball in the direction that they want it to. So, I don't think every conspiracy is a conspiracy necessarily. I think they're really good at pushing the buttons that they need to make things happen. And so I kind of feel like this is one of those situations where it's like, did maybe some people know or something? Sure. But, I think this was more of a button pushing type of deal going on here.
Yeah, that simulation energy.
Yeah.
Pushing the narrative, adding a little energy in the direction you want, but not expecting a direct result.
Right. Yeah, testing the waters and seeing how is the public going to react? How much power do we really have?
Yeah.
Well, here's one last one to kind of poke at with our psychic antennas. We had organizations around the globe fell to their knees for several hours on Thursday, July 18th, after cybersecurity from CrowdStrike dispatched a routine software update to Microsoft Windows customers without even telling anyone, apparently, or testing it, apparently. Maybe they didn't know, they didn't test. It affected all over the world. I'd heard about it. 3 big U.S. airlines were grounded. Some traders at JP Morgan Chase had issues as well. They couldn't execute orders to trade. That's crazy. And healthcare, hospitals were targeted in Europe, forced to cancel all elective operations and routine operations. In governments, the Dutch and UAE foreign ministries reported IT outages. Starbucks mobile was down, and Dunkin' Donuts wasn't answering.
It's a travesty. Yeah,
I was fine until you said Starbucks went down.
Right? What?
So the question here is oopsies or not? Psychically, again, probing into this because. Again, the reason for this show is, we have competing information everywhere. At this point, we have to intuit and figure out, like Scott said, like we got to figure out their intuition, what the shift's really going on. Do you feel, I'll answer last, what do you all feel about this as far as the nature of this? Pretty powerful domino of everything going down from just an update.
Well, my spidey senses, says that it's not an oopsies. If you can't travel, that means you might be trying to prevent someone from traveling. The question is who? You know what I'm saying?
The world's population? I don't know.
Well, I'm just saying there might have been, groups of people or they're trying to stop travel for some reason. My thing is that what would they, because I think that's really why it was. I don't think it was an error or mistake. Like, oopsie, we did an update. They're too smart for that. How long has Microsoft been out? And they're now they did oopsie, and there never was an oopsies before, especially when it turned to, 2000. We didn't have any oopsie then when they all threatened it was going to be an oopsie. And the technology wasn't as advanced then. So this feels deliberate to me. They were trying to prevent something from being traveled or something from going from here to there. And I think that's kind of my simple read on that. So,
but why Starbucks?
Right. Exactly. They don't want people to have energy. No energy today. No. So I really,
can't even make it to the airport. I'm so tired.
I really do feel that, but look, that's whether that's true or not. We need to look at how seriously connected we are to technology and reliant upon it. That we are. That something like that can happen and can stop everything. So I think that we have to become more self-reliant on a lot of different things. I said before too how connected we are to our phones. If you were to lose your phones, how many of you guys would remember your loved ones' phone numbers? Not many, right? So I would say we have to find ways to not be so dependent on this technology to where I say make a little card with your names and contacts and put it in your wallet. So if your phone gets lost, you have a way of contacting them. It's just little ways, right, that we can stop being so reliant and brain dead on technology. So this is another indication of that too, that something could happen. Everyone's stuck. They can't even travel and they can't get their Starbucks.
Devin, I saw you poking in.
Well, I really don't believe this was a mistake. I mean, I'm sorry. I just kept hearing there are no accidents. There are no accidents. I mean, this was, again, I'm feeling that same simulation energy, see how publics react, testing the systems, who can we tweak with this, what else goes down. If they only shut down the airlines, that would be very suspicious. So we got to take down the Starbucks app too, Christopher. You got to cover your tracks a little bit there. But as the moment I heard this news, I thought, okay, this is some kind of test to see how far we can get. It didn't feel like an attack as much as a test to see how far they could go with that, what kind of disruption it would create, and what kind of response we would get.
That's going to be my point. Agreed.
Yeah.
But first, Chris.
Yeah, no, I think I was just going to say that it's a test. I mean, Page of Cups is an illusion because we don't know if that fish in his cup is real or not. We don't know. So it might be real, might not be real. And the magician is the trickster. And so, just putting the two together, I would say that I definitely feel this was like a test, or I don't think this was just a little I hit the wrong button type of situation here.
No.
Well, then we're unanimous because what it feels like to me is Cybernet becoming awake. It feels psychically, and I'm just going on my psychic because they have no Astro on it. Although I do know all the stuff that was happening astrologically was a shift of power, a grab for power. I think we're going to see a big grab for power when Pluto goes back to 29. That moon on Monday morning was at 29 degrees, the degree that Pluto goes back to, which is a grab for power. Pluto is us all fighting for that power. So to me, this is another effort to see, can we bring everything down? There's been a rumor of 3 days of darkness. There'll be 3 days of darkness. Keep hearing 10. That. Is it 10? Is that the Bible?
10 days of darkness, yeah.
No. The rumors on the internet is that there's a planned internet going down for 3 days. This is
I thought it was 10 days. Okay.
It only takes 3 to start starving, actually, and food starting to rot,
True.
So, and to me, it feels like along those sort of efforts, could you shut down the population? Let's do a minor test and just kind of see. Plus also that's, it just exposed a vulnerability. So I feel it's exposing our vulnerability.
That's what I was saying, yeah.
I also feel it's exposing them. So they just played their card, whoever they are. Right. And who knows, it could be, I can't, it feels foreign though. I'll tell you that.
That's what I'm saying.
Do you feel domestic or do you feel foreign?
I feel foreign because I feel like, again, they're trying to present some sort of transactional something, foreign, relations in a sense. And, there's a lot more deeper things that we're not seeing with just politics, right? So there's other reasons that we're not seeing what they're doing behind the scenes, like I was saying before. So there's another agenda than just like testing things out or just trying to fear monger because, when they shut down, we shut down, they shut down too.
Right.
So I just feel like they were trying to prevent some behind the scenes. Like you said, I definitely think it's foreign for sure. But we have to be aware of this. Like how vulnerable are we really, and how much are we relying upon these things? My goal, I would love to be off grid somehow with a solar powered house, and I'll be on a bicycle, get my power generated. You know what I mean? And this is making me want to be more self reliant. Based on what's going on. You can zoom out. I'm not going to say anything more.
Bye.
Could have predicted that.
I talked enough. And now you want to zoom in?
Just kick him off the show. That's it. You're done.
You can go ahead and go in the desert and farm your own food, and I'll be over for dinner.
Right. Exactly. He'll be here soon.
Here's what I do feel that came in while you're all talking. I was channeling him. Now it's starting to channel live on the show, and it's showing me that this actually there's some Robin Hood kind of rogue programmers out there. And I'm feeling like this autonomous, this direction of going to, not decentralized internet. I feel like this, every time you have a cause, it creates an effect. So here you have someone trying to take advantage of the centralized internet and shut everyone down. This inspires a decentralized platform. This inspires people to create decentralized. So in a way, I think it's going to backfire in the end.
It always does.
I do feel we're very vulnerable in times, and in pockets, people can be affected. For sure.
That's exactly what I was getting to, is like, even the people who might be trying to assert their power get held up if they can't get on an airplane and get to their target. You know what I mean? And that was a big thing that I got immediately when we had the COVID shutdowns, is like, oh, wow, we're really showing our vulnerabilities to everybody about how the supply chains are disrupted. And we all know this, but I do feel like ultimately people would rather there not be as much, or the powers that be would rather there not be as much disruption, so they can operate the way they want to, because they don't want to be stopped from where they're going. They don't want to not be able to have access to their money and their food too. So the ultimate coup would be to be able to pull off the things they want to pull off and not have that disruption. So maybe it will bring in this more decentralized thing from like you said, like the Robin Hood type side of things, but it's going to be testing it from both sides to see, how do we have this battle behind the scenes without this huge public disruption. What about you?
And I'm going to just say this really quickly. I need to interject.
Go full screen. Go full screen.
Go full screen, guys. There we go. Adam, you're on point. I really feel though, and Christopher and I both kind of said this, I didn't sign up for Armageddon. And so I signed up to be in a reality where we'll be victorious and show how spirit can really dominate and thrive and shape a lot of things. So I really feel like, even though we're going through all this, struggle and strife, I believe we're going to reign victorious, that we're not going to collapse and have Armageddon. We're actually going to be we're going to rise up and we're going to evolve the species. So I really feel like that's what I signed up for. And I see that happening intuitively, not because I want to, it's because I feel that. And so I think that Christopher also agrees too. We didn't sign up for Armageddon. So there's a lot of tests for us to rise above. If we do want to evolve, we're going to have to be put through a lot of these challenges, and that's what we're faced with. And we're slowly waking up our eyes collectively, seeing behind the scenes. And I think that's a positive thing. I think a lot of people are starting to see through things. People are questioning media now. They never did that before. People are just starting to question what's real now anymore. And I think AI is even helping us to question, is that real? So people are actually using more discernment now. So I think there is a lot of backfiring in the dark, because people are starting to wake up. People are starting to look for authenticity and not really kind of buying into, what they're being fed. So I see a lot of positives from this, and a lot of us standing up and resurrecting from this. So I don't feel we signed up for Armageddon. Don't think so.
Yeah, we didn't. I didn't anyways. I didn't have on the bathing suit. But that said, we do want your comments and questions. We have some coming in, folks, and this would be the time to go ahead and comment or question. We're going to pick up a few questions and answer them here. After this, we want to do one more promo and talk about the 40 Days of Self-Love and Ascension at SeriousJoy.com. Again, our most popular program. And what we do is we guide you for 40 days aligned with the astrology. All the questions are tied to the day's astrology. So it's really kind of a genius cooperation of using astrology and journaling and self-realization. And the whole point of this is, most of us are letting this shift happen because we've lost touch with our own heart. Right. We lost touch talking about politics. We lost touch from the people we love. We lost touch through smartphones and technology. And what this program does is reacquaint you with your inner child by having you ask yourself questions like, what are your favorite things? Things that you love to answer, by the way. That's the other thing about this program. You love answering the questions because it's your heart. It's what you love. Once you mine that gold out of your heart, you manifest it. That's been our experience. And we've just gone to ascension level now. So we're also teaching, for those who are in their heart, how to take that vibration higher. Now, there is someone here who has done the program. Devin, would you care to say anything?
I would love to. I am a huge fan of the 40 Days of Self-Love. It is worth every moment of energy you put into it. And it's not too late to start. We started today, but I am a big fan of you taking this time for yourself as a self-luxury. I've done the program at least 4 times, and I have also manifested things out of each time I've done it. And one of the things that shocks me the most is when I start the program, I don't always know what I'm working on. And when I come out at the end of the 40 days, I feel bigger and brighter. And the things that surprise me is really that my heart was asking for something all along, and my mind was telling me, oh, you could never have that, or that would never work. And then all of a sudden I'm realizing I didn't know how much I wanted that. And as soon as my heart had that voice, it came to be, or at least the path unfolded and the people started coming into my life for that. So I highly encourage you to grab a journal, take the time right now. It's not too late to try this 40 Days of Self-Love have. And like Christopher said, you can get a month trial for only $3.99. So what do you have to lose? I mean, Christopher and I are on there every day with some other amazing creators at Serious Joy to support you too. So you have an amazing community available to you when you join. So you don't have to be in that spiritual closet any longer.
Lovely. Thank you so much for that endorsement.
Yeah.
Scott, I'm gifting it to you.
Oh, thank you. I get it in person? Because I mean, I've been out of the closet for quite some time now, so I think I've been rewarded myself that.
I feel like you should love yourself even more.
Oh, thank you.
But what about God? God, would you like to chime in? Do you have anything to say on my beautiful program that I co-created with you?
Thanks, Christopher. I just wanted to chime in and remind everyone it's not too late for anyone to check out Serious Joy's 40 Days of Self-Love and Ascension. Visit SeriousJoy.com today.
Okay, endorsement by God. You can't get better than that. It's time now. I think our next piece is where we shoot the shift. What's so funny? Are you guys passing notes?
No, we're just reading the notes wrong incorrectly. I think
Did I read something wrong? Oh,
was I supposed to introduce Shoot the Shift? I don't. Where's my notes?
Scott, go.
Welcome to Shoot the Shift, guys. So we'd love to hear your comments. So if you have any questions or any topics in the conversation, that you want to, elaborate on, we'd love to see some of your comments and pick them out and see which one's good and which one's bad, and kind of elaborate more. So
Did you see? Here's one, Scott. Here's one, Scott, that you're gonna love. The point of this show isn't to spread gloom and doom. It's to inform and help you maintain your own high frequency. Each host shares their own. I'm not quite sure what this is. Was that a comment, I guess, that came in, Diane?
Or was that a statement?
It was a post. Yeah.
Where did that go?
Well, I don't know, somewhere in there.
Well, let me see something. I mean,
again,
let me say something about this. Well, let me tell you something. We have doom and gloom, and we have love and light, and we have to talk about all of it. And we've actually been giving a lot of inspirational insights of how to cope with this. So there's a lot of people out there who aren't all love and light 24/7 that need coping mechanisms and need perspective on things. So we're also called as light workers to bring perspective. And how the hell can we bring perspective if we don't talk about what's going on? So we can't put our heads in the sand and say, oh, it's too negative and we love and light and it's all, we can't do that. That's not leading. So we have to make sure we're addressing what's happening. This is very tough times. And so we have to track through it. And we're not always going to be talking about these things every week. Every week we talk about so many different issues, but this is necessary right now. And we'd be foolish not to talk about these things. How can we lead without talking about these things? If we turn a blind eye, we're not leading. We're just kind of drifting away.
Well, what you said earlier too, Scott, about, we didn't sign up for Armageddon. I 100% agree with that, but we did sign up to rise to the occasion, to overcome challenges, to take our intuitive abilities to the next level. And that's one of the beautiful things about the energy we have right now.
Right.
Christopher's spoken to this with the planets. We get to use our psychic abilities on levels we've never seen in our recorded history from what we can tell, what hasn't been buried. So this is actually a cool opportunity for all of you at home to sit there and step back and go, what does my intuition tell me about these headlines that I'm seeing? And what do I really feel is going to happen?
But who's telling us what this show's supposed to be? I'm just curious about that. Who's one telling us what we're supposed to be about?
I don't think that was I didn't see
I
that.
think actually that might be just us miscommunicating.
Yeah, I think we just want to remind everybody, like our original title for today's show, if you saw it, was going to be Light Workers in Love, because we've done the Summer of Love. And those of you who are asking, like, why is it a different topic? It's because we really want to be authentic. Like you said, Scott, it felt too shallow to go into something like that when there's this big energy out there we're all facing. And we want to set an example and lead out loud. What do you have to say about that?
But as light workers, again, we can't be just like pretend like these things don't exist.
Scott Rack.
What's that? Scott Rack.
We can't hear more from Chris.
Right. I'm sorry, Chris, because I'm obviously passionate about this topic.
Go for it. No, keep going.
His Italian's coming out. His Italian's coming out.
Well, just saying, like, we can't say, we can't talk about the negative. It's like, how else do we solve problems? How we develop cures for illnesses? We have to look at the problem and dissect it and see what's going on, so we can stop repeating the same pattern. Like, so I think that the biggest miscommunication in the spiritual communities is that we just have to only think positively, and that's just a bunch of crap that keeps people stuck and keeps people, from in situations where they're bound to their negative circumstances because they don't want to look at it and they don't realize that. And it takes time for them to realize how stuck they've been because of not wanting to look at that. So I think it's imperative. I think that we're always offering a solution and a way to kind of connect to and just say, hey, we're all in this together. That's the main thing, right, guys? Like, we're all going through this. We're all watching this together.
I'm watching something else now. I zoned out about 4 minutes ago.
Shut up.
Well, we do, we're here to empower the viewer. I mean, and the idea here is a light worker is someone who has the energy come at you, and how you respond to that is the work, right? That's the work of the light, how you respond to that energy. Exactly. We just want to come on here and talk about how we respond to these decayed forces. There's decayed parasitic forces. How do you respond? How do you rise up on top? And that's what our goal here is in this show, and to laugh out loud.
Did what I said, the 4 minutes really need to follow through, Christopher?
You did. It needed buttoning up.
Need a button.
Let's just like it. WW. Okay.
Little bow. Thank you. For
yeah,
that.
Totally. No, it's today is step 0, Leo, which means we're examining the boundaries of where our heart is. That's making everyone a bit more personal. Everyone's taking things more personally right now.
Right.
FYI at this moment, and also
True.
all of our inner child wants to be seen right now because it's Leo. Like, look at me, look at me. So we're operating and performing perfectly to the energy, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
Sure.
And that said, I think we've come to our time, folks. Let's see. We are looking forward to seeing what happens next week in the headlines. We're going to roll with the punches. It is the summer of love, and we will be talking about that and how to get on that bull and write it. And remember, folks, if you don't want to see the shift show, then lead out loud. We'll see you next week.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Thanks for joining us on LOL Leading Out Loud. You can catch the team every Monday night at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. If you're watching on YouTube, please remember to give us the finger, to hit that like and subscribe button. Thanks, everyone. Great show.
There are so many people that are disconnected from their internal guidance. My mission is to change that.
I don't just talk stuff and repeat stuff. I'm living this stuff.
I'm your Carol Master and Bad Vibe Blaster.
And you can thank me for covering your astro.
Leading